Welcome to leg 9 of my Balkans road trip. This video is going to be all about Sarajevo. I'm not even sure where to start with this city because I had a lot of complicated feelings about it. We'll get to that in a bit, but let's start with when I first arrived. I'd just driven through all these beautiful snowy mountain towns, and upon entering the city, I was met with traffic and lots of smog. I could not only see, but also smell the smog from inside my car. The traffic was a little stressful, and I was really glad I'd picked an apartment that was walking distance to everything and had a gated private parking lot so I wouldn't have to take my car anywhere. I loved the view out my window, and I didn't realize Sarajevo is situated in such a beautiful area with hills surrounding it. Okay, we're gonna go out and explore because I think it might rain tomorrow, so I want to go out and do it while it's sunny, even though it's already almost 2. There's a lot of smog here. I noticed that and smelled that when coming in, and the air quality index was like 141 when I checked it. There's a lot of cars, and they do things like go over the line. So if you're in the middle lane, you're like sandwiched between the cars, and like if one's going over the line, then, you know, I don't know, it's just stressful. There was one more thing I noticed about Sarajevo. Smog, traffic. Oh, I had to carry my 50-pound suitcase up 8 flights of stairs, so my arms are literally shaking. Because I didn't do any research on the places I went other than to see if it was safe, I had no clue what to expect when I got here. The first thing I saw when leaving my apartment was this building riddled with holes, and it was just the first of many. There was a lot to take in that day. Modern buildings mixed with communist-style buildings mixed with Austro-Hungarian buildings, mosques and churches, natural beauty with smog and pollution. It's a bustling, lively city, but it's also surrounded by reminders of death. It feels like a city full of contrast, but not in a bad way. I want to go up there, but it looks like a far walk, and I do not want to drive down. I had seen bombed out buildings and houses all around Bosnia, but for some reason in Sarajevo it just felt different. It was everywhere. everywhere I looked, I'd see the lingering destruction from the war. And why is that? Well, Sarajevo had the longest siege of a capital city in the history of modern warfare. 1,425 days of war. If you go back to my Mostar video, you can get a refresher about how the war started, so I won't explain all that again. But when the siege of Sarajevo started, 13,000 soldiers from the army of Republika Srpska encircled Sarajevo and the surrounding hills. The city was bombarded with artillery, mortars, tanks, machine guns, rocket launchers, and sniper rifles for nearly 4 years. The Serbs blockaded the city, and the people of Sarajevo were faced with this odd task of carrying on life while also doing things like burning furniture for warmth, finding ways to secure food and water, attending school in basements, and running from place to place to avoid a sniper's bullet. During the siege, 11,541 people lost their lives, including over 1,500 children. An additional 56,000 people were wounded, including nearly 15,000 children. After the Dayton Agreement, about 62,000 Serbs left the city and surrounding suburbs. This led the demographics to change from a 50% Bosniak, 25% Serb population before the war to about 80% Bosniak, 3.5% Serb population afterward. There was so much to see and take in that after my first day exploring, while I was shocked by all the buildings with holes from mortar shells and bullets, I was also energized by the city and felt like I had barely scratched the surface. Wow, that was interesting. Okay, exciting news of the day. I finally found pre-packaged salad. Could not find it in Montenegro or Mostar or Trebinje, but I went to a Bingo Plus in the mall and they had it. They had several types and they like vacuum seal it. I keep seeing these Serbian cookies at the store, so I got them with caramel. Thought that looked pretty good. And I got a pudding cup so we can dip it in pudding, but we'll try it plain first. Okay, it's like kind of a round biscuit with chocolate and caramel on top. It's very firm. It's very hard. The flavor's okay. It's kind of very mild tasting. The chocolate caramel stuff is good. This is kind of like an animal cracker, but even more plain tasting. And it's like way too baked. They should not make it this crunchy. Although maybe if you dip it in coffee and then get it kind of soaked and it gets soft, then I think that would be good actually. I haven't found many Bosnian beers, but this says Sarajevsko. And they had several different types. But I just didn't feel like buying any more beer than this bottle, so we're gonna try this one. It's got some nice hops. So it smells kind of like generic beer. It's kind of good. It's mild, but it's not like, I don't know if you saw my Slovakian taste testing video, but all the cheap beers I tried there were like tasted really like college beer. This is like a very light, like simple plain beer, but it doesn't taste like super cheap like the other ones. It's kind of nice. It's kind of refreshing. I like it. I mean, I don't think I'll buy it again, but I'm not gonna dump this like I have other beers, so I don't know. I think it's a winner. I couldn't wait to get out and explore the next day. Well, when I headed out that next day, I think since I had gotten the lay of the land a bit, it was like suddenly the only thing my eyes could fixate on was all the scars from the war. No matter what street I wandered down, it was like every house and building I passed had some reminder from the war on it. I went up to the Yellow Fortress to take in the views. You can see large graveyards around the city, one of which you'll pass by on the way up. Many of the people who are buried here were in their 20s and 30s when they died. I returned to my apartment that evening feeling incredibly heavy and overwhelmed. I laid in bed that night watching weird music channels till almost 3 a.m. trying to turn my mind off. That kid has like a mullet. I can't tell if this is real or like some weird spoof thing. What is this channel? It is hilarious. Literally, what the hell? Oh, shit. Like the city itself, my emotions felt complicated and contrasting. I loved the city, but I felt very unsettled about it. Even now, 5 months later, I still feel off when I think about Sarajevo. I've tried to articulate my experience and feelings I had while I was there, but all of these descriptors sound too simplistic to explain what it's actually like. I can't even peg what all the feelings are, but the only way I know how to describe it is that I feel it in my stomach, and the one word that always comes to my mind is complicated. I don't want to limit Sarajevo just to a city that makes you think of the Bosnian War. It does have a long history. It served as an important stronghold in the Ottoman Empire during the 15th century, had a lot of development and advancements in the Austro-Hungarian period, and in the late 1880s it was the first city in all of Europe and the second city in the world to have a full-time electric tram network. In 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated here, kicking off World War I. Sarajevo was also the home to the 1984 Winter Olympics, which provided a nice tourist boom. There's a lot of culture, an East meets West vibe, a rich history, beautiful sights, and fun shops. But at the same time, it's undeniable that the war is also a big part of its history. About 12 years ago, I had a client I didn't know well at all mention in passing that she was from Bosnia and her family fled during the war. It caught me off guard because she started to cry just from telling me that. The war and having to leave her home was so painful and still had a huge impact on her. And as a mere visitor to the city, it made a huge impact on me as well. You see all of these apartments and homes where families and children lived, and you think about how many innocent people died or were injured, and you ask, what for? What was all of it for? It's senseless. So after a couple of nights in Sarajevo, I packed up to continue north. In the next video, we'll stop in Banja Luka before heading to the capital of Croatia, Zagreb, a town I was pleasantly surprised with. See you next time.